What's up, guys and gals? Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind the bar reviews for Seven Deadly Sins, chapter 330. Okay, this chapter was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. One key thing: the art was beautiful. We had some very, very stellar art, like just throughout the chapter. Everything was crisp, everything was really nice, and I think I'm even more appreciative of a well-drawn chapter given the abysmalness that is the current season of Taizai running. But I just wanted to get that right out of the gate, is that halfway through the chapter we get these beautiful, we get two double-page wide, gorgeous artwork and stuff like that. It does look really like that is some epic, high-quality art right there. So just appreciate that for a moment. Regardless of your feelings of the chapter, ladies and gentlemen, just appreciate the good art that has been going into not just the last 2 or 3 chapters, but almost the last 10 to 15 chapters at this point. We've been seeing a solid dozen chapters of really nice art. So I just wanted to say that right at the gate. Now, this chapter is very simple. This chapter review will be very simple. They waste no time in basically, at the end of the last chapter, of course, Zeldris defeated his father, the Demon King, from his own mental world. Gelda woke up, and we see him reverting back to his original adult form, and the 10 Commandments are like spewing out with darkness from his arm in this gooey substance grossness, right? And they don't waste any time. Everyone's like, what's going on? Huh? And boom, one page of everyone reacting, what's going on? Zeldris is free. He reverts back to the Zeldris, the prince, the goat that we all know and love, and the 10 Commandments fly away, given that they are still part of a presence, apparently. So this leads me to believe that them slowly dissipating and disappearing into the world, that's a time thing. That's a time reset, because it didn't reset back to them already fading away. So when they took over the Zeldris as a new vessel and stuff like that, similar to how he did Meliodas, now that he's back out, he does have a small window of time to try to find a new vessel. Zeldris is pushed out. He's looking battered and beaten. And so no wonder why. Some people are disappointed that Zeldris may or may not be out of this fight. I'm a little disappointed myself. I wanted to see some cool, crazy combo. Full counter, ominous, nebula, super devastation attack. Trillion Dark meets Ominous Nebula 2.0, I don't know, some crazy combo attack, because Taizai was heavy combos early series, petered off for a while. We still got some in the later part, but combos were a big thing in Taizai staples for battles and magical attacks. It would be cool to see some type of ominous counter or something like that. Or ominous. Nebula counter. Let's call it Nebula counter. That would be a cool move. I don't know how it would look. It would just be badass, right? So, that being said, Zeldris is pushed out, and he's battered and beaten, of course, because the Demon King was battered and beaten, and this is the physical body. So Zeldris took all that damage, or most of it anyways, appears to be on Zeldris. He's battered, he's pretty beaten. And, the 10 Commandments, now apparently they can speak now. Never really did that before. They did it in the soul world or the mental world before, but they never really did it outside of it so much. There might have been 1 or 2 things I'm missing, 1 or 2 panels, but I don't remember them speaking like this. Anyways, 10 Commandments, it's still the Demon King. He's like, no, I will not allow you to take my vessel. And he shoots his darkness like a claw towards, forward towards Zeldris, even though he just flew away from it. Meliodas is worried. Bond, of course, speed blitzing. I'm just curious. I'm really curious. Meliodas is in assault mode right now, and it leads me to believe that he wouldn't have just speed blitzed and solved the problem. But, I mean, you gotta let other characters shine, I guess, at this point. I'm questioning every single decision at this point. Well, we'd be here for 30 minutes, and this was not a 30-minute discussion type of chapter. So, Bond is the one. He grabs him, snatches him away from the Demon King, back at Meliodas' side, like, here you go, Gelda. Throws him and be like, you owe me some beer for this, Meliodas, because it's like, thanks, saving my brother Zell. It's like, yeah, you owe me beer for this. You owe me 10 rounds. And they're like, yeah. So everybody's happy. There are some lines from Deanne and King, and Merlin, but none of them really amount to much. It's basically explaining the situation. Like, yay, we saved Zeldris. Is that the Demon King? What's he doing now? It's just dialogue for the sake of dialogue. It doesn't do anything for the story. It's not an explanation. There's no badass lines. It's just stating the obvious. There's a lot of Captain Obviouses in this chapter, but other than that, the Demon King kind of gets a little pissed off. Before that, Zeldris does wake up and he looks at Meliodas, and Meliodas is like out of assault mode, and he goes, "Yes, good job, brother. You defeated our father." And Zeldris, of course, from what we have learned about him, and especially the last chapter kind of hit it home once again, is that he is embarrassed to take praise from his brother. He's embarrassed that he still wants, after all this, after everything that's happened, he still is his brother's little brother. He still wants to be his little brother, and he still likes the praise and stuff. So, as we saw last chapter, they set this up nicely. This part is that Zeldris got very embarrassed by this. So he, of course, and he grabbed Gelda and smushes his face in her tits, and then Meliodas is like, "Oh, so you're more of a boob guy, I see," and it's like, "I remember you smashing your face into her chest back in the Soul World, too," and Zeldris is like, "Of course not." It's like, dude, you totally are. I mean, look at Gelda. Look at Gelda. Stop staring at me, guys. Stop staring at me. Just because I'm doing this is just some... I can't show manga panels, so you're just going to have to envision a less bearded version of myself with some Gelda-ness going on. Are you turned on yet? Anyways, point is that, like, Zeldris, just admit it. I mean, Gelda does it for me. She doesn't have the cut bangs issue. So she's best girl in the series now. That being said, after this part, as I said, the Demon King gets it's a nice moment between brothers. It's fast. The pacing in this chapter is quite fast. I would have liked to see some more dialogue between Zeldris and Meliodas. We don't get that. It's okay. The scene was fine. Demon King just roars. Really, I need to do something. So he splits himself off like he's pretending that he's in Dragon Ball and he's Shenron. He splits himself off. He goes underneath the platform. And then I can't make full sense of exactly what goes on. He destroys the earth, lifts the earth up, then morphs the earth around the platform. That's basically... He shoots himself into the earth on all, out of the 10 of them, in 10 spots, around the platform that Deanne had created. He takes over all the life, he kills everything in the vicinity, and he takes the earth itself, the land of Britannia. As Merlin explains, he's using the land of Britannia, even though it's not an ideal, he's using the land of Britannia now as a vessel because Meliodas and Zeldris both rejected him. There's not another vessel left for him. This is kind of ingenious because, as we know, not only was this lake super powerful, but we can assume that the land that was so rich in magic and energy, it might not be able to sustain him as well or for long. It's once again disappointing because even though this thing looks very well drawn, very interesting design, I'm behind it. I think it looks awesome. It's unique. From all intents and purposes, if this form was going to be sustainable or as strong or stronger, once again, he would not have gone through all this trouble to get vessels like Meliodas and Zeldris, his two sons. He would have done this from the get-go. So I can only surmise that this is now the weakest form of the Demon King we have seen. Nakaba, you gotta let this dude die. You really need to let this guy die. If you're continuing the series, great, move on. This arc is, for an ending of a series, it's being dragged out too long. For the end of an arc, it's even worse. You could combine every dragged out part of One Piece. Like for me personally, Whole Cake Island and Dressrosa. You could grab both of those, combine them, and that is only 1% of the feel of drag that this arc has gone on for. It really has. Once again, just want to say, still really enjoyed this design. It kind of... I get a bit of a feeling at first I was like, okay, it's like Davy Jones. It looks a little bit like Davy Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, with the tentacle face and stuff. And everyone's going to be reminded of something popular when it comes to that stuff. The other thing it reminds me of is, honestly, Milak. I think it's Mirek. Anyway, the first Dragonborn from the Dragonborn DLC of Skyrim, guys. I'll have a picture here anyways. But when I first saw this, I was very much reminded of his mask. and stuff. And the whole, like, okay, the Daedric Lord, he had tentacles, begins with an H. Oh, man, I can't, it's been a long ass time since I played some Skyrim, so I'm bad with the Daedric names, but Hermaeus Mora, whatever, the one who granted the Dragonborn power and all that stuff. If you haven't played Dragonborn DLC or Skyrim, seriously, pick it up, even if you're not a gamer, it's fantastic. And that kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Once again, I really do like the design, but as I said, the issue is you gotta let this guy die, because once again, this will make, my argument before was Zeldris was a willing vessel from the get-go. There was no issue. The Demon King spent a long time and a huge gamble that he could get Meliodas. It paid off, but it's stupid from the standpoint, it's not logical and not smart from the standpoint of the, as we've seen, this Demon King can jump from multiple vessels. So I'm under the impression that the argument before was, well, yeah, but he's a power crazy hungry person. He didn't want Zeldris. He wanted the best. He wanted Meliodas. Even though Zeldris, he could have been 10 Commandments beginning of the season when the 10 Commandments were released. Demon King could have been there. Boom, done, win the day. He didn't do that, people are saying, because he was stupid, because he's power hungry. He wants the best. He doesn't want to settle for second unless it's absolutely impossible. That argument's fine. Except for what I've realized right now is that this Demon King can survive outside of it as 10 Commandments as a conscious form and jump into a new vessel when he pleases. All he needed to do at this junction then was to take Zeldris as a vessel, like he proved that he could do, beat down the much weaker Meliodas at the time, beat him down, make him weak, and then jump from Zeldris' body into the weakened Meliodas. End of problem. So even if he did want that form. So I'm having a bit of a struggle trying to make sense of this. Once again, enjoy the series if you're still reading it, guys. At this point, we aren't going to get much logic. We're just going to jump through more hoops, more plot holes, and more issues. But, once again, the love of the series must live on. So there is an issue here that I've just realized today. But other than that, though, the form, as I said, it looks a little bit like a cross between First Dragonborn meets Davy Jones meets like a Titan from Shadow of the Colossus. And it looks cool. It looks really cool, but it's some generic shonen stuff after this. We get reaction shots from all across. Apparently now the druids have their wings. Like just randomly, now they got their wings. Okay, when did this happen? Why show it now? But we're just getting reaction shots from everybody. Everyone like, oh, we're doomed. He's feeding off this, and he's like, oh, the despair, like, I shall destroy you all sort of idea. And then the 7 deadly sins stand up to him. There's a little bit of fluff in between, but at the end of the day, it's simply the Demon King spouting his usual crap, and then the 7 deadly sins standing up to him in a very nice shot. But we see that Gelda, Zeldris, and Elizabeth are once again sidelined. I'm a football fan, guys. As you can tell, I'm a football fan. And I'm all about, putting in some, keeping your good players and stuff, right? Of course. But if I have, if I have a Tom Brady, if I have a Wayne Gretzky, if I have a Michael Jordan, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't utilize the rest of the team. It's a team sport. I understand that Nakaba wants this great battle with the original 7, the 7 deadly sins versus the main antagonist. I understand. But giving us that Bloodstained Ellie stuff, and just a sideliner for no reason, Zeldris and Meliodas finishing off their father after both battling him separately and then finishing him off together for the final blow would be poetic. We could still get that, but that should be the actual battle. Gelda, we're not really sure how really powerful she is necessarily or not, so hard to say, but nonetheless, them being sidelined was a little annoying. The shot was still nice, though. The shot is very nice. We get the 7 sins. Demon King just aghast at what are these expressions, and we get a line from everyone. Gother going back to his rather flamboyant tendencies. I don't mind that. Deanne being fairy tale. King I didn't mind King's line. That wasn't fairy tale. King's was fine. Gother's was fine. Escanor being the baller. Merlin was like, meh. And, Bond being Bond. And then Meliodas at the very last page just saying, let's go. Not even in assault mode. So they're going to, I guess, beat this guy down. I'm firmly confident because Escanor was beating the living crap out of a more powerful Demon King. This thing should be weaker than both the Meliodas Demon King and the Zeldris Demon King. So, yeah. That being said, guys, I don't think there's much more to say on the chapter. It was a little late and stuff, the chapter being dropped and stuff, but hopefully this review doesn't take too long to render and get out there. What did you guys think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment as always. It's always very much appreciated. Hit that bell notification if you want to know every single time I drop a video. And as always, drink responsibly. See you back here next time.